Hey, what's up? Good evening, everyone. It's Spawn West Virginia once again, hitting you up with yet another YouTube, classic, another great YouTube video. So, I know, of course, all you football fans out there know that recently, over these past few weeks or so, the NFL Network has done a countdown of the 100 greatest players in NFL history. And just this past Thursday, they concluded the countdown with the top 10. And and of course, at number one was none other than Jerry Rice, the greatest wide receiver of all time. And of course, initially there was going to be a two-sided argument, of course. And of course, everyone up, like myself, obviously I already know, the argument on Jerry's favor, which is like generally what I've been hearing recently. There have been a lot of people who agreed with it, and there have been a lot of people who have disagreed with it. Of course, the people who are pro Jerry Rice are those, of course, those that are pro Jerry Rice being number one. Of course, we throw in the fact that obviously we all know that Jerry Rice, Jerry played for 20 seasons. He's the all-time leader in receiving. Every major receiving category that you can name of, or that you could think of, whatever record, chances are Jerry pretty much holds it. I'm talking about as far as his numbers, he's light years ahead of whoever is second, third, fourth, and everything. People like T.O., Randy Moss. They have a pretty long way to go. Just to even come up that close. Man has 1,549 receptions, 22,895 receiving yards, and about 197, like 197 receiving touchdowns. And so, and of course, not only that, but of course, 3 Super Bowl rings, 20 years, all-time leading receiver, every major statistical category, 3 championships. Matter of fact, he's the all-time leading receiver, even in the postseason. So, of course, his conditioning, his consistency, his longevity, things like that. That's the argument that's on his side. On the other hand, you look at somebody like Jim Brown, 9 seasons, Pro Bowler, I think every season. Pro Bowl, just about every single season, never got injured. And just the All-American. Matter of fact, Jim Brown, his career yards per carry are like 5.6. So just about every time he touched the ball, he already ran for like half of a first down, pretty much. So that's amazing. He was a man among boys anyway. And so, of course, the people who disagreed, like for instance, my dad. My dad's a huge Jim Brown fan. So the moment I told him that, he had a fit. So I might as well go ahead and say it on YouTube right now. So of course, that like I say, there are definitely a lot of people who are pro Jim Brown, for Jim Brown, even though he didn't play in the Super Bowl era. But just his tremendous ability and his consistency as well, especially at the running back position. That's one of the toughest positions to play at. So and so there, like I said, there are definitely people who are for Jerry Rice for those obvious reasons. And as far as naming the greatest player of all time, it's like I'll say it like this: Jerry has the greatest resume, the greatest career of all time, and no question, he's the greatest wide receiver ever. Period. At his position. No one hardly even comes remote. Jerry's like in a whole league of his own when it comes to wide receivers. Everybody knows that. Like when it comes to greatest wide receivers, yeah, I can see them saying that, definitely. But when it comes to other positions, it's kind of hard to really narrow down the greatest of all. Because everybody was great at their own particular position. the top five, but they were right when it came to these top five. Rice, Jim Brown, Montana, LT, Walter Payton. Yeah, as far as those top five, definitely they got that down pat. Now, as far as another part of the argument against Jerry Rice, other than Jim Brown's career, of course, when you look at somebody like Joe Montana, Montana was the guy who was throwing the ball to Rice in the first place. So so like a large portion, of pretty much a pretty big portion of Jerry's stats, other than his career with Steve Young, a pretty big portion of him getting those numbers was from the guy who was ranked number 4, Montana, who got 4 Super Bowl rings. He already had 2 before Jerry even came. So so that's another big part of the argument. Montana, the greatest quarterback of all time, anyway. Lawrence Taylor revolutionized the game on defense, changed the way offenses had to do their play calling. So so in that sense, even though I wouldn't name him the greatest of all time, first of all, but Walter Payton, another one, sweetness. This guy, was his motor just constantly kept running. Walter Payton, for a guy he was very versatile too. The guy could run, he could catch. I think I've even seen him actually even throw the ball too one time. But Walter just had that heart, had the determination, had that skill. He was a heck of a slasher. So I definitely agree with them. Putting him so far. I definitely agree with them. Ranking them so far above Emmett. Anyway, so especially like when it comes to him and Jim Brown, Walter was the guy who had to break Jim Brown's record anyway. But in general, especially I guess when you think about it, I guess like one of the reasons why so many people are against Jerry being named number 1 is because of his position. Oftentimes when somebody's starting a team, usually a wide receiver is not first on the list. Let's just be honest. Wide receiver, if I was starting a team, wide receiver, would not exactly be number 1. Like when I get down to it, Jerry would be number 1. But as far as somebody to start a team with, you gotta look at running back, you gotta look at quarterback, that type of thing. So I guess when you look at somebody like Jim Brown, who dominated, who did so well at his position, Walter Payton, same thing. Guys like that, it's pretty, it's a pretty tough two-sided coin. When you think about it. So, but overall, I want to know your thoughts on this topic, your perspective on this topic. I've already thrown out quite a few stats, but I just want to know what you think about it. It's like I want to say Jerry, but at the same time, Jim, was pretty much a man among boys, so it's kind of tough. So, what do y'all think?